I believe that property investment is the number one way for anyone to build wealth consistently and predictably over a long period of time. But as much as I would love to sit here and tell you it's going to be easy and you're going to get rich overnight, the reality is that isn't the case. So what I want to share with you in this video is the inconvenient truths about property investing. So when you commit to going all in on property, you're making an informed decision, and I'm setting your expectation accordingly. The first thing you need to understand that property investment, achieving a significant and a meaningful amount of wealth, it's going to take a very long time. And so if you're committing to going all in on property, I really want you to expand the time horizon for which you're going to measure your success over. You really have to be thinking in years, really, if not years, decades. So you want to go into property and think, not what can I achieve in the next 12 months. Yeah, you want to have goals for the next 12 months, or like not what can I achieve in the next 4 weeks, in the next 2 months, etc. But it's, if I commit to doing this, what can my business and my life look like 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now? Because the reality is, anyone that's achieved any level of wealth, if you look at the Sunday Times Rich list, you look at the Forbes list, look at how old the people are that are on that list. They've been doing this a very, very long time. And what you don't want to do is get really excited about property. You've kind of in this phase where you're consuming all these videos, getting all excited, committing to like, this is what I want to do. You get 6 months in and realize, actually, this isn't happening as quick as I would like. Understand that that's okay. The mistake people make is they give up at that point. So forget about what you're going to do over the next year. Forget about what you're going to do over the next 2 or 3 years. Think about, what can my business, my life look like 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now? And the most successful people is they think on long-term time horizons. Now, there still needs to be a level of urgency and speed to your execution and getting things done, but be patient in the macro and then have urgency in the micro. The second inconvenient truth is that it's going to be very, very, very hard. It's going to be extremely difficult. You're getting into an arena where you're competing with lots of different people, for the same deals. You're having to, figure things out, that there's going to be lots of money being thrown around. You're looking at big numbers if you're buying expensive properties. And I say expensive, we're talking properties where you're purchasing them in the hundreds of thousands of pounds. There's risk that you're taking on, and there's going to be some mistakes that you make. But the reality is, you want to embrace hard things. You want to recognize hard as good, because anything worth achieving in life is on the other side of hard. And then just take comfort in the fact that it's going to be hard until it isn't. So think about whatever you do now for a day job, or if you're studying, whatever you study now. You think back to the first day that you started, you're probably a little bit overwhelmed and you probably thought it was very hard. But the more you did of it and the longer you did it, the better you got. And the better you got, the easier it became, and the more effortless the results become. So understand that it's going to be hard. And when it does get hard, embrace that resistance. The plane can only take off against the wind. The sword can only be forged under fire. Anything meaningful in life is on the other side of hard, because as cliche as it sounds, if it was easy, everyone would do it. And so when I'm faced with a hard task, for me, I get excited because I know that there's going to be a lot of other people out there that don't have the same level of persistence, don't have the same level of willpower, of determination, that will give up when it gets hard. So I know the harder something is, the greater the reward is going to be. I just wanted to interrupt this video to invite you to my next 2-day mastermind I'm hosting here at my home in London. These are 2 very intense, very transformational days where you're learning not just from me, but 5 and 6 other property entrepreneurs that are operating at the 7 and 8 figure level with their property businesses. I can fit 8 people around my dining room table, so it's very intimate, it's very intense. I take everyone for a beautiful dinner on the first night. It's a Friday and Saturday, and over the course of the 2 days, it's a full deep dive into how to really play a bigger game with your property business, how to raise capital from private investors, how to find these investors, how to structure the financing, how to build your brand and build an audience of people that know, like, and trust you, that presents so much more opportunity of being able to find investors and have more deals come your way. way, how to actually find high quality deals, how to analyze these deals, and how to really scale. We're going to take your psychology to the next level, and ultimately you're going to have a level of clarity and knowledge and skill sets and network coming away from this event, which are going to allow you to take a quantum leap forward in your property business. A lot of people say they were a different person leaving the event that when they arrived. And so if you want to find out more, the first link in the description of this video will be a link to me explaining the event in a bit more detail. And if it's something you'd like to explore, you can fill out a form and book in a call with myself where we can make a decision together if it's something you'd like to be a part of. Back to the video. The third inconvenient truth about properties, you want to ignore the fantasy of passive income. And what I mean by that is, first of all, property isn't completely passive. Now, there are some strategies where it can be more passive than others. If you're buying REITs, or maybe you're getting some properties on government contracts, but there's always going to be some work that's required. But I want you to understand the difference between passive income and active income. Passive income is income that's generated essentially whether you work or not. It's reoccurring income. Think about rental income paid from tenants. Active income is income where you're paid for work that you are doing. Now, active income, or another word for that is earned income, is an income that's much easier and quicker to scale. If you want to get to £10,000 per month, you're going to do that a lot easier with active income, with earned income, than with passive income, i.e. from rental income from properties. Because doing it through active income, if you are going out and sourcing properties, you might only need to source 2 or 3 deals per month to earn £10,000 in income. Whereas if you want to earn £10,000 in net income from a rental portfolio, you might need to accumulate a couple £1 million worth of assets at least, which is possible. It's going to take a long time. So passive income is more valuable because if I gave you the option, would you rather have £10,000 passive income or £10,000 active income? I think I'd rather have the passive income. So it's more valuable in that sense, but it's much harder to obtain. So if you want to focus on getting financially free or having the cash flow to afford the lifestyle that you want to live, focus predominantly on active income first and actually ignore the fantasy of passive income for now. That can come 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years plus down the line once you've built an asset base. And that's something that can just be the foundation of your wealth, this passive income coming in. But the real wealth in property is made through the capital appreciation, the value of your assets going up, which you can refinance and then reinvest, and then the value of the debt, the buy-to-let mortgages, the commercial mortgages against your property, although you're not paying it down because typically they'll be on interest-only mortgages if it's an investment portfolio, but the value of the debt decreases as inflation happens. As inflation goes up, which happens pretty much every single year, £1 today is not going to be the same value as £1 in 10 years' time. So a £200,000 mortgage today is going to be a lot less valuable in 10 years' time as well. So there's these compound effects that kick in when you're willing to play the long-term game and persevere with investment, with owning assets. Think about that in terms of decades. Like, the wealth will come with time. For now, focus on active income or earned income through selling products, selling a service, where you're not trading your time for money, but you're being paid in terms of the value that you can provide. You've been paid for solve problems that you can solve. The fourth inconvenient truth is that raising capital is very hard. The whole financing aspect of property can be very difficult. Raising finance from banks can be a little bit difficult because there's certain hurdles you need to jump through. There's certain requirements they have. There's experience that they're going to want to see from you and your team. There might be certain assets and liabilities they're going to want to see, etc., etc. But then raising capital from investors is equally very, very difficult. There's an interview where Jeff Bezos says raising the first £1 million for Amazon was one of the hardest things he's ever had to do. Or there's Brian Chesky, the founder of Airbnb, who's on Diary of a CEO and talks about his first fundraising experience from investors. Now, these guys were raising money for tech startups, which is a much harder asset to raise capital for than property. I'd actually argue properties, out of all the asset classes, one of the easier asset classes to raise capital for, but it's not necessarily easy. It can be very, very, very difficult to start with, but that is where real wealth is unlocked. The most valuable skill you can learn in property is being able to raise capital from private investors, because that's the biggest bottleneck for your growth. If you had investors that were happy to hand over hundreds of thousands of pounds for you to go and allocate that capital into high quality property investments and property deals, how much more exciting could your business be? So it is a skill that you want to learn, but I want to recognize that it's not necessarily going to be easy. So those are 4 inconvenient truths about property. It's going to take you a very long time, so expand the time horizon for which you measure your success over, and just accept the fact it's going to be very hard to achieve anything meaningful in less than 12 months. The second thing is you want to understand that it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard until it isn't. But on the other side of hard things is everything you want in life. So when it does get hard, embrace the hard, push through it, get excited by it. Third thing is ignore the fantasy of passive income. To start with, focus on building your cash flow through active income, through earned income. And then number 4, recognize that raising capital is the most valuable skill that you can learn, but it's also one of the hardest things to do. Like I say, everything you want is on the other side of hard. So that's all for these video, guys. We're doing 30 videos in 30 days. Make sure you subscribe and drop any comments with how you're finding the videos so far and any videos you'd like to request for the next 25, 26 that we have left. So yeah, peace.